What is the most selfish act you have ever witnessed? When my dad fell into a coma after a massive stroke, the doctors told us to prepare for the worst. I was in Arizona visiting friends when my sister Carla called me from California. Her voice was shaky as she explained that dad had collapsed at work and was on life support at St. Mary's Hospital. They say we have time to process this, she said. Maybe a few days to make decisions. I booked the first flight out, but there was a storm that delayed everything. I called Carla constantly, begging her to wait for me to arrive before making any major choices. As the power of attorney, she had the final say on everything. Dad had made her the responsible one years ago when mom died, trusting that she would make the right decisions for all of us. Please just give me 24 hours, I kept saying. I need to see him one more time. I need to say goodbye. She promised she would wait. She swore on mom's grave that she wouldn't do anything until I got there. When my plane finally landed 14 hours later, I rushed straight to the hospital. I ran through those sterile hallways, my heart pounding, ready to see dad hooked up to machines, ready to hold his hand one last time. But his room was empty. The bed was made. A janitor was mopping the floor. I found Carla in the hallway, calmly filling out paperwork. She looked up at me with dry eyes and said, "He passed peacefully this morning." I made the call around 6 a.m. My knees almost gave out. "You promised me you'd wait. It was time," she said, like she was discussing the weather. The doctor said he wasn't coming back. I didn't see the point in dragging it out. I started crying right there in the hospital corridor, but Carla just kept scribbling on forms. While I was sobbing over losing dad, she was already asking nurses about death certificates and discharge procedures. The funeral hadn't even been planned yet, but she was already talking to banks. That same afternoon, while I was calling relatives to tell them dad had died, Carla was on the phone with the mortgage company, asking about transferring the house deed. She texted me later that evening, "Since I took care of him these past few years, it's only fair I get the house. You were never here anyway." I was horrified. Dad never made a will because he always said we'd figure things out as a family. We were supposed to work through everything together, split his belongings, decide what to keep and what to donate. That's what families do. But Carla had already changed all the locks on dad's house. When I showed up the next morning with my spare key, it wouldn't work. She came to the door in her pajamas and told me she had to secure the property. "Squatters might try to break in," she said. "You understand." I asked for some of dad's personal things. His old photo albums, the letters mom wrote him during the war, his watch that he promised would be mine someday. Carla crossed her arms and said she needed time to inventory everything properly. I tried going through lawyers, but estate disputes take months to resolve. Meanwhile, Carla was living in dad's house, driving his car, acting like she owned everything. At the memorial service 2 weeks later, she gave this beautiful speech about how nobody loved dad more than she did, how she sacrificed her own life to care for him, how she was there every single day while others were off living their lives. People nodded and dabbed their eyes. They thought she was this devoted daughter who deserved everything. But then our cousin David showed up with his phone in his hand. He'd driven down from Oregon just for the service, and he looked angry. "Bianca," he said, pulling me aside, "you need to see something." He showed me screenshots of text messages. Carla had been texting him 2 days after dad died, asking if he knew any real estate agents who worked quietly and off the books. Then he showed me emails. Carla had been trying to sell dad's house without even putting it on the market. She'd contacted 3 different cash buyers, offering to sell below market value for a quick sale. She was planning to pocket all the money and disappear. David handed me printed copies of everything. "I saved all of this," he said. "Take it to a lawyer." I did exactly that. Turns out, Carla couldn't actually transfer the deed without my signature anyway, since we were both listed as next of kin. And now there was documented proof that she'd tried to claim assets illegally, while lying to my face about taking time to inventory everything. The court froze the entire estate. They ordered joint management of all dad's assets and appointed a neutral third party to oversee the distribution process. I finally got back dad's photo albums, mom's letters, and the watch he'd promised me. I got my closure and my memories.